Hello, it is I, Becca Lori Hector, here with the first Being Becca Live of 2022. I am excited to be kind of here doing Being Becca Live. I want to say a giant thank you to those of you who continue to encourage me to work on the YouTube channel because I get really lonely about it, and then I get isolated about it, and then I start really digging deep and like, is this worth it? Am I shouting into a void? And then I go in that imposter syndrome zone, which you guys all know about and how fun that is. And so it's been a rough ride, and I have to tell you, I was a little bit disappointed that we didn't make it to 1,000. And it was a big, huge chunk. I really was looking to double the channel in essence. And I did. I got a huge amount of subscribers, and I'm trying to be okay with that and all of those things. But you know how it happens. We have to process through how we wanted it to go and how we hoped it would go versus how it actually went. I learned a lot of things. To those of you who won physical prizes, I am waiting for something to arrive in the mail that is a surprise for you guys in your boxes. And so I haven't yet mailed those things out. I will get my ass and gear and my shit together as soon as that stuff arrives, and I will mail it out to you. Those of you who won the February seminar, you should have already gotten emails that you're registered for that. If you won a one-on-one with me, I should have sent you an email and let you know that you won. And so it's up to you now to schedule that one-on-one with me. So if you won it and I told you you won a one-on-one, please email me. Let's schedule it. And then who else? So there was that. There was the seminar. Oh, and the course. If you want a seat in the course, I haven't yet gotten together the registration links and all of that stuff. But as soon as I do, I will automatically look at that. What is that? It's a lint, and I can't stop looking at it. Very annoying. I feel like Monk right now. Yeah, I will, as soon as I get those registration links, and it probably will be sometime this week, I will go ahead and register you automatically. So you'll be getting that email. So update on the giveaways. That's where we're at. Thank you guys again for the support, because we did grow. It's just, I was really hoping for this behemoth thing. And what it told me is there's probably stuff that I can do better and more of, and maybe is something that is affordable to me to do this year. So I've been exploring some avenues with a neurodiverse person who does marketing, and particularly for social media. And so I'm exploring that, and I hope to hire a neurodiverse person to help consult and work with me on particularly the YouTube channel, and see if there are things that I could be doing better and that are small enough, or that person can help me with, that I can do things to grow the channel. You know what I mean? So I am not letting go of the channel entirely, though I was really doing an experiment with how does it work if I ask my supporters to support me? How does it work if I want to grow the numbers? How, because it's all about learning new things, which of course my little autistic brain just is like, information, new thing to learn, and it just wants to osmosis it in. And so I've been on that track. So thank you guys for your support throughout the month of December. I truly appreciate your shares, your subscribes, your comments, all of those of you that participated in the giveaways, all of that stuff, right? So thank you for that. I do appreciate it. And so we'll be moving on with things. And so here we sit with the very first Being Becca Live of 2022. I have my new bracelet on. You guys, check it out. It's all upside down and whatnot, but that's, can you believe it? Oh, there it is. Free is my word for this year, you guys. And freeing myself, I have already begun. Okay. I've already begun by just trying to look at the ways in my life I might be trapping myself, or not allowing myself full experiences of things. And so I'm going to free myself of all of that. But mostly what I think what I'm looking to do with the word free is to free myself from any weird, odd, misplaced judgment, standards, rules, things like that I live my life by, that I didn't even realize were there, and that those things could be holding me back. And so I'm going to be trying to free myself of my own kind of things. What the universe has in store for me for the word free and what I do with it, I have no idea. And I'm not supposed to know. I have to wait for it to unfold throughout the year. And so I will update you guys as we move along in 2022, all the many ways that the word free has started to mean something in my life or change the way I look at it or all of that stuff. So, and I hope you guys have picked your word or your theme for the year as well. Or if you do it at a different time of year, then I guess you're finishing out a different word from the last time around. But whatever works for you, right? It's about keeping yourself focused and aligned, throughout the years, and also keeping yourself in an evolving place where you're growing and learning about yourself more and more, right? So that's what the whole idea about it is. But the whole idea behind this being Becca Live is that we talk about the challenges of being an autistic adult alive right now and not when research catches up, and what we can do to be bettering ourselves or living our best life with those things that we think about, right? So it is another week, and so another challenge. And of course, all of that stuff kind of rolls out, as you guys know. Hey, Nancy. Hey, Bernard. Hi, CV. Welcome. Thank you for joining me today. I appreciate seeing you guys in chat. Then I know who I'm kind of talking to, even though I have no idea who I'm talking to, which is crazy and weird. And I'm alone in a room. But I try not to think about that stuff too much because it wigs me out. So I'm just going to keep going and pretend I'm talking to you guys, right? And so, yeah, so this week we're going to talk about something which ended up being actually my newsletter topic for this January. So if you are a newsletter subscriber, you got the January newsletter on January 2nd. I was so proud of myself that at the end of the month, I finished all of my end of the month things, and I didn't go into the beginning of January with things lagging over. So the newsletter was done and scheduled before New Year's Eve. And it was because of my train of thought sort of at this time of year. So what it is I want to share with you is this concept of re-energizing, or I mean, if I don't know, energizing or re-energizing your life, right? To me, it always feels like a re-energizing, like you get a depletion of energy, right? And I find that that's what I was thinking about in December is like all of these things kind of happened at the end of the year, right? Or I was talking to you guys about research funding, and I was talking to you guys about a book contract and stuff like that. And that stuff was happening. And one would think, right, that would energize my life and get me excited. And while it did get me excited, it was very momentary, right? It's in the creating of things that we truly create energy for ourselves, that we bring energy into our lives. And what had happened really was that I was achieving goals that I had worked towards and put a whole lot of energy in, right? Those things are the flowers from many, many seeds planted. But when you're planting the seeds, you are re-energizing your life. You are busy doing. There's action to the planting of the seeds, right? And really, the looking at the flowers that get produced in this metaphor, right, is sort of the end goal. But at the same time, it's very passive, right? You're just sitting back and sort of receiving, right, in that moment. And so that's a very kind of low energy space, right, as you imagine, right? Does it make sense when we look at it that way, right? That in terms of our momentum and our flow and all of those things, receiving the goals at the end, or getting those goals, or getting to those goals, yes, there's joy with it, right? But there's no energy with it, there's no momentum with it, right? It's the last domino, so to speak. And so it's very low energy, even though it's full of joy. And so I was feeling that, like I needed something in the works, like I was just feeling sort of bleh, and like not excited to wake up in the morning, which is a trap I fall into. And it gets extended by the fact that I have depression. Because as soon as I say, like, I'm not excited to wake up in the morning, my brain is like, ooh, so we're ready for some depression then, right? We're ripe for it. And like the depression comes in like a wave, and then they feed off each other. And it's a whole thing I have to unmangle myself from. But if I notice this lull in energy, there's a little bit something that I can do about it, right? There's maybe some changes I could make, or an awareness about what's going on. Something is in there happening, right? With that drop of energy. It's a normal part of the cycle, right? Because every ending is also a beginning, right? But it's a low energy period, that ending beginning. It's just very low vibration, right? Because we're just in this receiving or thinking or contemplating place. And so I decided that really needed to be the theme for our January newsletter, because after we're all done with the excitement of the holidays, I mean, it's a whole, like from Thanksgiving until through New Year's is like, I don't know, it's like a roller coaster of holidays, right? It's like, oh, holiday, and oh, another holiday, oh, another holiday. And it feels like that. And there's a lot of excitement and joy and fun things happening. And then as soon as New Year's Eve is over, poof, it's like somebody unplugged our light, right? And it's like, well, now I just have to go back to just, regular, right? And so we seek that comfort, but in that comfort is also that low energy lull, right? And so I thought perfect timing for a newsletter on re-energizing your life. So that's what, if you are a newsletter subscriber, you got this month, you got 2 days or 3 days ago, a newsletter on that. And I think it's an important topic for us to talk about at this time of year, especially since many of us are so susceptible to depression and anxiety. So many of us have those as co-occurring conditions, that it's something that we need to think about, is keeping that energy up in our lives and how to do that, how to reinvigorate ourselves. And so one of the articles that I sent with the newsletter, I'm going to go through with you guys because I thought it was a really interesting article. And if you're not a newsletter subscriber, this is the kind of stuff that I send out in it. And I wanted to talk about it because there are parts of it that attracted my attention and reasons that I included it. So the title of the article is 5 Powerful and Simple Ways to Energize Your Life According to Science. Right. And so the according to science thing, immediately I'm like, oh, you're going to try and take something that's not tangible, like the energy or vibration of your life or your person, and try to push it according to science. And if I can do that, if we are able to do that successfully without making a mush of either concept, right? It's a great way to help people who don't think this way or aren't at this part of our growth begin to think about these things, right? So I love that. According to science always appeals to me. I'm like, oh, we're going to try and logic through something that's not logical by nature. And I love it, right? Okay. So then the first blurb sentence in the article is, our mental and physical energy drives our health, happiness, and overall success, right? And then, we have 5 daily tips, blah, 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 blah. How to restore and protect your energy. Right. So I love that it's talking about both the mental and physical energy, because I talk about that with you guys all the time. Right. I talk about how when we're in an inertia or we're in a depression, the way out is by getting up off the couch and doing small activities, small things to take care of yourself, like the dishes, like a shower, like the vacuuming, like the laundry, like one thing a day, right? Until we build up our momentum, right? So I love that. Oh, I just smacked the mic. That must have sounded terrible. I'm sorry. Our mental and physical energy drives our health, happiness, and overall success. And can't you see, like, the fact that they've understood that the mental and physical are reliant upon each other, right? Or that our mental energy and our physical energy work together to drive our health, happiness, and overall success, right? And I talk about that stuff all the time with you guys. If we aren't pursuing things that give us joy, if we aren't creating joy, sharing joy, seeking joy, all the joys, right? Then we're not really living, right? Something is up, something is off, right? And if, we're not having health and we're not having happiness and we're not feeling fulfilled and we're not all of these things, right? We are not feeling like we're having overall success, right? We may be having it in one particular area, but not all. And overall success is the balance we're all seeking, right? And so they're going to give us these 5 daily opportunities to restore. And I love this language, restore and protect. Okay, this is spoon language. We are going to recharge our spoons. We are going to protect the value of our spoons, right? We protect those things as though they are worth more than anything in our lives, those spoons, right? And we're constantly seeking to restore and replenish our spoons, right? And to start our day with as many spoons as possible. So already they have me in the language. Do you know what I mean? Already I'm in, and like, this is our article. This is the one I want to check out, right? All right. So blah, 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 all this stuff, right? So they say there's 5 times during the day that we can start working on in order to improve our energy flow, right? Here's the beginning. Bedtime. Oh my God, you guys, have we not talked about morning and night routines? I talk about morning and night routines all the time with you because they are the way to capstone your day, right? You want to start it off with the right kind of thinking, and we want to end it with the right kind of thinking. Additionally, If we are not getting the right kind of sleep, that's hard on our mentality in the morning. And if we are having trouble falling asleep, that's hard on our mentality in the nighttime, right? And so those are two spots where our sleep and the quality of sleep that we're getting has a, impact on how we're feeling overall, right? And so here they're saying bedtime's a great time to begin to re-energize your life, right? Because if we start prioritizing rest in that way, right, and we start really making sure that we're taking care of ourselves and doing self-care and getting sleep hygiene done, right, then our mental health is going to improve. That's the way that we feel, and our bodies will feel better and more physically rested. And what's important about this whole thing is that for each of us, the amount of sleep we need is different. I'm somebody who needs a lot of sleep. I'm somebody who's not a morning person. I know these things about myself. I have met autistics that are morning people that only need like 5 or 6 hours of sleep a night, and they're fine like that. That's what their bodies and brains need, right? They don't feel like they're not getting enough sleep. And so right here, there's the great opportunity, right? And so they talk about improving sleep quality. And I love that, right? To avoid stimulating technology 60 minutes before bed. Literally the light and and intaking the information on the screen keeps you awake. And so you need to turn off your brain in that way. Use calming music and guided meditation. Keep a notepad beside your bed to quickly write down any lingering thoughts that might keep you awake, right? Like, you remember something you have to get done, or you forgot to put something on the shopping list, or, oh, what a good idea to include that in that piece, right? As writers out there, we do that, right? And then to engage in activities that physically separate you from, they say your workday, I say from your adult responsibilities, right? You want to physically separate yourself from that. So turn off the computer if you work on the computer, put on your pajamas and take off your work clothes, things like that, right? Things that can separate you. Take a shower in between. For a lot of us, we need that physical break, right? So some people shower after work to improve their sleep quality and start to relax their bodies. Anyway, there's lots of different things you could do. You can look those up. But bedtime is that first ding, ding, ding in your life where you can begin these little tasks that will re-energize your life, right? That will bring back the energy you feel so depleted of, right? Here's morning time is number 2, right? Again, I talk about morning and night routine. So here's another way, right? Because the things we decide to do with ourselves when we first wake up in the morning impact how we feel about the rest of our day. And if you are waking up and checking your email first thing in the morning, you are hating on life. There is nothing in that email that's going to be good and fun to find at 8 o'clock in the morning. So stop doing it, right? They say how you spend the first 30 minutes of your day sets the tone for the rest of the day. I say 60 minutes. Okay. For the autistic brain, we need bigger transitions. We need longer amounts of time. So there are things they're recommending you do. And what do we think we find on that list that Becca talks about all the time? Gratitude. We talk about it all the time, and why that shifts your energy from that negative low vibration place into that positive high vibration place, right? So starting a list of gratitude, saying your gratitudes in the morning instead of at night, whatever works for you. For some people, it's getting their body physically moving. So getting in a shower, doing some exercise, going for a run, right? Recite positive affirmations, right? So I have my little cards from Joe right here, my Remindfuls, my positive affirmation cards, and they're a quick cheat way to move your energy around, right? I talk about doing it with music, right? All the time. I have, in fact, wrote an article about using music to lift and shift your mood. It just works, right? So here are those 2 pocket times of the day that, they're the capstones of your day, the beginning and the end. And those are places to look for where you can be re-energizing your life, right? Couple of other places that they talk about in here: mealtime. Okay. Why? Because what we put or don't put into our body affects how we feel physically and how our brain functions. Literally, we need fuel, right? Food is fuel for us. And if we are not doing things that we can do to make sure we're fueling our body properly, then we're making a mistake. We're stealing the energy from ourselves by not eating properly. This is compounded for us because a lot of us are sensitive to our foods, and we have safe foods and same foods and all of those things. But we also have to be eating a balanced diet. Are we taking vitamins if we can't do the full foods? Are we making sure that we aren't eating foods that we're allergic to, like gluten or nuts, things like that, right? Are we drinking enough water throughout the day? That stuff is important. Our nutrition is important. And so meal times, or scheduling in meal times, if you're not doing that right now, is a great time to say, am I eating enough? Am I taking care of my physical body and well enough for my brain to work properly, right? For it to feel good. So I think that's really important, right? And so we need to make sure we're doing those things for ourselves. What's interesting to me are the last two little pieces here that they've chosen as spots in the day. They're less obvious, and they are so neurodiverse friendly. What? Okay, the next one they talk about is movement time. And they say these words: the human body craves movement, not the autistic body. The human body craves movement, right? And so we can't sit around for too long and not move around. It's not good for our body, right? Our blood is what brings the nutrition to our brain. If we aren't moving around and keeping our blood flowing and our heart working and our lungs moving, right, the blood flow isn't getting there oxygenated and with nutrition, right? And so we have to make sure, not only for that reason, which isn't a human reason, but then for the autistic reason, that we know movement creates regulation for us. It creates emotional regulation for us on top of physical regulation, right? And so movement time is essential. Where is it in your life? And if it's not there, then again, you're missing opportunities to simply and in easy ways and free ways, right, to re-energize your life. And I love that. And the last one, right, is reset time. What neurotypical has finally figured this out, is what I want to say, right? And so, but what I want to talk about them is the interesting ways that they talk about this stuff, right? So in the movement, when they talk about incorporating movement and ways to do that, right, they talk about stretching. We talk about breaks, right, in here, which is something we've known for a long time, right? But there's these little odd ones, right? Not only the fun of tracking and using a fitness tracker, like the steps and all that stuff, which is fun for us. And I think that's interesting. But they also talk about having standing meetings and walking meetings, which is something that, as an autistic person who has always wanted to be able to just walk around the boardroom table so I don't miss out on the meeting, but I need the movement, right? Or that kind of thing. I am like goosebumpy to see that we're talking about it from a human perspective. Like, don't sit still, get up and move around. It helps you to feel better and think clearer, right? So that one was a fun one for me. And the reset one, I think, is interesting. It's really not about reset, but about rest, right? And we talk about the need for rest, the need for alone time, right? All the time. We've known, if we were allowed to indulge in our instincts, we've known our whole lives how important our rest time and our alone time is, right? And so here it is. They're calling it reset time, but they say schedule in daily rest time and things, right? So what we want to do with that time is rest, meaning not think about all the things we're worried about, meaning not make big decisions, meaning not make lists, meaning rest is rest. And whether that's actually sleeping or doing something like practicing gratitude or meditating or doing deep breathing or cooking or cleaning or gardening or any of the things that help you to reset your brain, right? It's a recharge time, that rest time. And so we need to think about that in there. What can we do in there to include it? And they are saying it's so essential, you need to schedule it in, which is something I've been saying to you guys for evs, right? But what I am loving is that those two new categories are included, right? The obvious of morning and night, right? The obvious of, are you eating right and exercising, right? But there are these non-obvious categories that have been blatantly obvious to us for such a long time, right? And so interesting that it's kind of swinging around, and that neurodiversity is sort of making an impact on the way that humans are seeing humans. So I found that whole piece very interesting. And if you're not a newsletter subscriber, I wanted you to sort of be able to understand the type of stuff that I talk about in there, because it's not like just a newsletter of advertisements of the stuff that I'm doing, right? It's about continuing the education and the resources that I'm trying to give you guys for free, right? And so that's like in there big time. And so that's like, when I walk through those articles, that's what I was thinking about when I read them and why I include them in the newsletter, right? So I hope you guys are thinking about this topic of re-energizing your lives and the different little ways that we allow the energy sucks to happen, and where to kind of plug them up. How can we plug up those things so that our energy kind of refills, so our bucket fills back up again, right? Other articles in there were about, the other one that was fascinating to me that made the newsletter was the one about really picking your purpose and doing the things that are that get you passionate and excited, because that's where the energy comes from. And that's really an interesting place to think about in terms of your lack of energy. Are you feeling the lack of energy because you're not doing the things that bring you joy and all of that stuff? So anyway, I could talk about re-energizing your life a whole lot right now, because I needed it. And it was this time of year that made me feel like I needed it. So doing the research for it already helped me. So I hope you guys get some stuff out of the newsletter this month. And I hope you enjoyed just kind of thinking about that piece, thinking about where the energy leaks are and what can I do about it, is something important, right? And so, yes, in fact, Nancy says, music is a big factor for my mood and energy. It is for mine too. If I'm feeling low energy, I can put on high energy music and it will shift my mood, and vice versa. Sometimes we're feeling really pensive and we want to give into that space. I can do that with music too, right? And she also says the human body was not meant to sit still. People shouldn't be expected to. Correct. Right? We sit at our desks or sit on our butts so much, but all the good thinking happens when you're in motion. Right? And so we need those times of motion and space in our lives to get through the day. In any case, I thank you guys for joining me today, for being back alive. I wanted to make sure to talk about the newsletter topic today because A, I want more of you to subscribe to it, but B, I wanted you to understand the content of it and why these things are important to think about as autistics, as humans, right? Bernard says, I want a standing desk. Yes. Right? For some people, like I can't. I have tried a standing desk. It doesn't work for me. But there are people that need to be on their feet when they're thinking and trying to produce. And so why not give into that? Standing desks aren't permanently standing. They go up and down. And so why not give into that, right? Especially Bernard, you're a creative person, right? You're a writer also. And so if that's where the good writing happens, when we're on our feet and the blood is flowing that way, like go with it, follow it, right? Because the last thing we want to be doing is doing a whole bunch of things that deplete our energy, right? That keeps us from getting where we want to go in life. We need that energy to keep us motivated. So yeah, I could talk about this forever, but I'm not going to because it's a live stream. So I'm going to say thank you very much for joining me today, guys. And I hope you are beginning to think about your life. And if you need to re-energize, where are the places you could stick that stuff in? Because that's what today's today's conversation was about for us, right? It was all about how can I get that back going? So think about that. And of course, I will put a link to the article itself right here in the description of this video for you guys. And I will be back on Sunday right here for the next Growing Gratitude, of course, where I talk about the things that kind of help motivate me through my week, even when I've had a really crappy week. And then, of course, I will be back next Wednesday with the next Being Back Alive. Until then, you guys, get out there and seek joy, create joy, share joy, all the joys, right? For that energy that brings you, right? And then think about ways that you can sneak more joy in, right? All of that stuff is important. So get out there and do that. I will see you out and about on the interwebs. And of course, I'll see you here back on this channel on Sunday. Have a good one, you guys. Thanks for taking your spoons and energy to join me today. Bye.